The copium is real, man. I think John Karony could probably kill somebody and they'd still defend him. But anyways, somebody said earlier that we didn't go over like everybody else's transactions. And it's just like incredible to me because we literally did that. We went through every single team member. And then every time that happened, everyone just said, oh, that's old FUD. So
that was me. Hi, I'm Carly. Did you do that in this past video or did you do that in another video? Because admittedly, I haven't watched all of your videos, man.
Oh, yeah, that was in the first video I did about it and the second video and a little bit in the third video. So I talked about Kyle, then I talked about Ben Phillips, then I talked about Papa. I mean, I've talked about basically everybody, every key member. I talked about Fudhound. I've talked about Charles Karony. I mean, I've talked about basically everyone. It just so happens that the person left standing is John Karony, so he's the one relevant to speak about.
Hey, Coffee, quick question. I don't know if you're able to elaborate, but what assets was he trying to bring cross-border?
I really don't know. I mean, it's not specified in the lawsuit. I don't think he's been back to Gambia since. And the lawsuit specifies that when they found out about it, they were pretty, like, it literally could have been anything. I don't know.
It was the ambassador's car.
I'm sorry, what?
It was the ambassador's car.
They said it was his car? He took his car?
Yeah, I believe so. He stole the ambassador's car, drove to the border, and bribed the border guards to let him cross without a passport.
Karony's badass.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. It's hilarious.
I believe it, but do you have proof?
Yeah, it was in TNG's posts. I mean, I really am confused. You know, there's so many things in your videos which you either leave out intentionally or you deliberately make misleading. I'm really confused, Coffee. Going back to your first video, so you actually got Strider to go on video saying this. You never said that there was $100 million in the V1 honeypot, right? You never said that. You got Strider to come on for about a 5-second clip, and you got Strider to say John stole $100 million. And then as soon as he'd said that for 5 seconds, you cut him out and took the rest of the glory. That was obviously absurd. Everyone knew it as soon as you posted it. So why did you do that?
It seems from your tone that you think I'm like this like cartoonish villain with like, this master plan here. But the truth is actually quite simple. We divvied up all the work for this whole thing between myself, Bootsy, and Strider. Both of them did great work as well. And one of the things that Strider was really focused on was this V1 honeypot. Now, as everyone knows, we miscalculated that. So that was just what it was. But he came on because that was his part that he focused on. And it turned out that he was wrong. It was only 6.3 million, which funny to me that that's like the big like, ooh, Coffeezilla got something wrong. They only stole $6.3 million from us.
Like it's a win.
It's just such a funny like own because it's implicit in the realization is that money was stolen from you guys and you don't care. You don't care that it hasn't been returned to you. So yes, we made a mistake. I'm very public about the fact that we made a mistake. I'm very open with admitting it. You can probably understand that with the complexity of this story, there's just a lot going on. If the one thing we got wrong was that we said it was X number of dollars, but still millions were stolen, I don't see that as that big of a deal. And the reason that Strider talked about it instead of me was simply because that was his focus on the project.
Yeah, you used a lot of research from other people. The only time anyone else said anything in your video was for that $100 million. And you reacted to it. Strider said it was $100 million, and then you come on and react like $100 million? Wow. I mean, it was so obviously a setup.
Is your allegation that I deliberately put in $100 million hoping that no one would notice? Is that basically what you're saying?
Yeah.
And so that I could absolve myself of responsibility? Is that like, I think that's what you're getting at.
Yes, that's absolutely it.
That's
completely insane. I would rather get everything right in my video than have a single mistake in my video that idiots like you can try to hold over my head. I didn't mean to call, $1. Whoever the last person I was talking to, I apologize for calling you.
Amy the robot.
You're not an idiot.
Yeah, she's not an
but
idiot.
It's just a little frustrating to hear people kind of assume really the worst of me. But I try not to call names or anything like that. I take my work very seriously, as I think you probably understand. And so it's kind of weird when people assume I'd purposely get something wrong. But it's not my intention to kind of get heated here. So I wanted to say that real quick. Does anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, I'd like to ask him a question. And I would like to point out that I do think Amy is probably very smart as well, but to think that Coffee's willing to ruin the claim of the entire video in order to make one guy look bad is extremely illogical, rather than just get the information right. Like, oh, we had this information wrong, I'm gonna make this guy look super bad. But my question, Coffee, is regarding the fact that John put the address of his parents in his lawsuit, which is basically doxing them. Do you know if he had to do that?
No, I don't know. I mean, I think it's very strange. I think he could have easily said, because he doesn't actually specify the number. He only specifies the street name. So clearly there was some tiny amount of redacting done. But I mean, if you just guess how many houses are on the average street, it doesn't take a lot of work to find their actual address once you have them pinned down to the, street name. So I think my guess is that he probably could have done something like just say the general like location, things like that. But instead, also, I just think it's like ridiculous to sue your parents anyways, especially for what is essentially 120 grand when you walked away with millions. That's what was so weird to me about the whole lawsuit. It's like the juxtaposition of Karony getting bent out of shape about a few $100,000 that his
It's
mom
ego.
may or may not have. Let's just assume the worst case scenario, his mom embezzled $200,000, which I don't believe is true. I think that's a total lie. But assuming that it's true, how could Karony of all people get upset about it when we know what he did with millions of dollars of investor money, right?
Because of his ego. It could have been $5. It's ego. It's to prove a point and to not be wrong. The monetary value is irrelevant.
Or it could be a way to
Vix.
shift blame.
Vix.
Really quick, Coffee, because one thing that was kind of funny in the video was you're saying that John is being, accused of embezzlement, so he like shifts the blame to his mom. Do you think that maybe part of this was an attempt to shift the blame?
Maybe. I mean, to some extent, I really think he might be this petty. I think he actually is sort of possibly this vindictive. And I think he really did probably get in a disagreement with his parents. And I think he really did. From the fallout of this whole lawsuit being made public by John, I don't think, probably in hindsight, knowing how much press this would get him, he would have done it again. I think that he honestly accidentally leaked all this information because he really was upset about this $258,000 that his mom allegedly embezzled or whatever from him. I mean, it's just completely insane. But yeah, I mean, I guess that's what happens when you go from the van to the Lambo, so fast.
What's your take on the fact that it's listed as like his personal investment? Because he was selling it as, dark moon in Area 32. And that's what that was supposed to be. So now he's saying it was a personal investment. To me, that was like the biggest kind of takeaway from that entire video.
Well, it's a huge bombshell, right? Like it's the obvious bombshell. And what I've been saying this whole time, which is people told me from, after Wienergate, when John exposed himself in front of everybody and, revealed where all his money was, everyone told me, oh, that's a company wallet. Oh, that's not his personal funds. Oh, he hasn't taken his personal funds. So this was the biggest bombshell for sure, because we find out that, yes, in fact, John Karony had allegedly, according to his mother, who would know, millions of dollars of personal wealth, which we know only could have come from Safemoon because prior to this, he was living in a van, right? Look,
Also,
I don't think
Floodhound is
anyone
here.
in
We got the whole
Karony's
squad
family,
crew.
I don't know personally, but I don't think anyone in Karony's family is on very good terms with him. And I say this as not having talked to any of them, but literally just, you can look at their public statements. I mean, it's pretty obvious that everyone has shifted hardcore on Karony. And this is just a pattern of behavior with him. I mean, all his colleagues have come to me. Well, most of his colleagues have come to me and said, hey, John Karony's horrible to work with. He's like a monster. That was one of the quotes. He's a monster. I only like John when he's depressed. I mean, when all your colleagues are doing this, when your family turns their back on you, it's pretty obvious that there's something else going on. It can't just be everyone else's fault. I would love it if the Fudhound came up, or Papa, or David, or, I don't know. Can we get one of them to come up? I think that would make this space really fire.
Wait, is the Floodhound here?
The Fudhound's here.
Yeah, we got the whole
chat.
crew
I want
here.
him. He says himself, he's Mr. Ethics. I feel like that's fair. So I think the ethical thing to do at this point is come forward and actually talk about the truth about John Karony. If you want to be a man of ethics, you can't just support things when things are going great. You have to also stand up for what's right when things are going bad.
Floodhound lied about being able to fix the V1 honeypot. He lied about people being repaid. He lied about quitting. Even about a month ago on a space, he still said that he quit when he posted on Twitter some bullshit on Twitter. But we all know he was fired by letter, which we've all seen. So why would anyone even want to listen to Floodhound? He just lies.
We've got the
I thought the
Fudhound
Fudhound was connected.
Yeah, he's on.
Yeah.
He's here.
Perfect.
He's here.
Okay, Fudhound, you're here. Finally,
I-
let's hear the truth
I think
about what happened. Did you get fired? Did you quit? What happened to the V1, V2? Tell us all.
Look, this has been weighing on me, and you know what? At this point, fuck it.